Prosecutor Vinnikov is stealing money from Ukrainian businesses. We are going to the prosecutor. Prosecutor Vinnikov robbed a business. And now, at 10:50 a.m., the court session begins. In a country at war, prosecutors should not robbing businesses. That business which donates and supports our armed forces and defense forces. You can't. And this is our warning action. We demand the renewal of the moratorium on searches and seizures of business accounts. Due to the demands of the Manifest 42 public movement, all Ukrainian business. Editing that we have sent demands to the President of Ukraine and to all law enforcement agencies. Moscow came with the war. Here are their favorite tires. Here with us is another affected party. And everyone is in court. Tell me what happened. Where and when the prosecutors robbed you? On August 9, 2023, prosecutors, with the help of the judge of the Holosiv District Court, the judge's surname is Shevchenko. She signed a decision on the robbery of businessmen's premises and the office in which business was conducted. I fully support you. But nothing was said about withdrawing money. They simply withdrew it illegally. And when the case had to be transferred to National Anti-Corruption Bureau of Ukraine, they tried to throw us into the basement to force us to negotiate with those structures that were robbing us. And in April of this year, when physical evidence was handed over to NABU, it turned out there was no money. In other words, the prosecutors had stolen it, and they mentioned it during the search. The search protocol, the person who was affected, and now in the courtroom wrote that the prosecutor said that he was withdrawing this money to take a break. And he actually went on vacation after it. Then the prosecutor, in order to distract from this robbery, opened a criminal proceedings against its employee. Criminal proceedings against businessmen have been going on for years. People are thrown into the basement so that they pay money sooner. And prosecutors from law enforcement agencies can do anything. They can rob. The judge named Balat Serkvovits released this prosecutor on personal recognizance. He simply released him. That is, businessmen are jailed even without evidence. Appealing that they did some harm there, they are sent to prisons, they are held for months, people's teeth fall out and they lose their health. And the prosecutor was released. His father works at the General Prosecutor's office. He supervises law enforcement agencies. That is, everything is possible for them. You can treat Ukrainians like that. And the law enforcement agency is generally a bandit group. Dear judges, I know that I have been in your offices for more than 1 year, and during the revolution, I have been regularly appearing in your offices for 10 years, and I know that this sound is not very pleasant for you to hear, because you're sitting, you have a meeting, you have work. The work you do for yourself, not for the sake of our country. Therefore, we are forced to return to our public activities. We are conducting our own preventive action, and you know that we have many jeeps with tires. You know that we can do radical actions so that the boys at the front are satisfied with the work of the judges, and not with what is happening now. For example, this prosecutor, who stole money because his father works in the General Prosecutor's office, where we will also visit today, after we have taken our statements to the National Agency for the Prevention of Corruption and other regulatory bodies. We will demand the release of this prosecutor and his prosecution, strict liability, because understand, our army is watching us and they are watching you too. And the motivation of those boys who are now on the zero front line. And these are most of our friends who, unfortunately, have already died. They did not risk their lives so that you would not learn to work and take responsibility in 10 years, Madam Judge. Everyone who is now looking out of their windows, you must take responsibility, because otherwise we will take responsibility, and you know how we have been doing it since 2014. Therefore, please do not force us to take radical actions. Do not force us. Make this prosecutor go to prison for life for what he allows himself to do while our brothers are dying. Today's Manifesto 42 action was supported by the public movement Автомайдан, which defended rights and destroyed criminal power during the Revolution of Dignity. And now we have to fight against those whom the government makes untouchable again. These are law enforcement officers, security forces, policemen, and prosecutors. We know that the first people booked by the authorities from the front are law enforcement and rear structures. Why did they do it? And in order to show that they are unpunished, that they can steal, that they will not go to the front, but will limit public society and will protect our government. That is why today we joined the Manifesto 42, which defends the entrepreneur from whom $4 was stole with impunity, and now we already have information that the judges are trying to leave a personal bond again. That is, release again the prosecutor who stole the money. Because his father works in the Prosecutor General's office, he is covered by the Prosecutor General, and this is arbitrariness. It is now raging all over Ukraine. Автомайдан is now starting a fight together with Manifesto 42. Enough of this arbitrariness of law enforcement officers, enough of the arbitrariness of prosecutors. To date, we know that the prosecutor who was released on personal recognizance has organized his group of jackalls, other prosecutors, and they are attacking the businessman who exposed them. That's why we are now moving the tires with the names of prosecutors and judges who commit this arbitrariness in Ukraine to the gates of the appeals court. Because now these tires are like a black mark. And if the government does not understand that it is not possible to do this, it is arbitrariness, then they will have chambers here. There will be chambers all over Ukraine. Manifesto 42 gives you the requirements. Don't you want to go out and get them? Well, you can read them on the internet. Thousands of media resources support us. Open Facebook, which is flooded with our demands. More than 180 enterprises will appear near the courts and on the Maidan with their workers. These people contribute to the armed forces of Ukraine, and you protect criminal prosecutors who steal from Ukrainian businesses. We leave you the black marks, our tires, as a reminder. You make illegal decisions against the Ukrainian people, against business, against the armed forces.
Я повстанець 20 лютого на Майдані. Проти снайперів Беркуту.
In this building sits Vinnikov, who works in the office of the prosecutor, the general prosecutor, who covered his son from the law, who stole money from a Ukrainian business. Demands from the public movement, Manifesto 42. Mr. Attorney General, take personal control. Let there be the same arbitrariness that is happening in this building. The main request to the President of Ukraine is to renew the moratorium on searches and seizures of business accounts. If the matter does not concern national security, In case of further failure by the Office of the Prosecutor General to implement the decision of the National Security Council, put into effect by Presidential Decree 21 Fraction 2024 of January 23rd, within 3 months, the question of the personal responsibility of the Prosecutor General for all this will be raised. Mr. Andriy, we believe that you are the prosecutor who will be able to unravel this tangle.
А що треба?
Правової політики і захисту інвестицій. Олексій Бонюк.
Alexei Bonyak does not protect Ukrainian business, does not protect investment. What is the question, Alexei? It is necessary to protect so that we have our army, our defense forces, and not sit in chairs, wipe our pants and hide from mobilization under the armor of the president's office. Is Mr. Vinnikov at work now? Here is a quite, let's say, a typical situation. When the prosecutor withdraws funds during the search and declares that he will relax with these funds, and then after a few months these funds disappear from the criminal case. In fact, the suspect left the premises today after the meeting and is again free to move within the city of Kiev, despite the fact that he violates the procedural duties imposed on him. It very rarely happens when a person does not fulfill official duties and the prosecutor's office is inactive, in fact, let's say, covers it up. How can it be that we have Mazepa, who is responsible for alleged and proven losses of 7 million? He was given bail of 350 million and detained for 4 days until we came with Manifesto 42, and only after that he was released. How does it happen that the prosecutor steals 4.5 million from a businessman during a search and is released on personal recognizance? Explain to the community how this can happen in this country. Months or years depends not on the prosecutor, not on the representatives of the victim or the victim himself. In January, we sent the implementation of what I already mentioned, where the prosecutor also took possession of money. We still cannot appoint because the judges cancel the court. 9 months are almost canceled by judges. So, how can we be judged on mysterious grounds? We were judged. Our automaidons were tried in the same way, because we stopped arbitrariness, and in the end, we defeated the criminal power. It is not possible to be slightly pregnant. You can only be pregnant or not, black or white.
Что?
They lie. They lie.